people, hope you guys are well and life is treating you airy. I haven't made a video for so long, not for no particular reason. It's just that, you go with the flow of life in it. But it has been on my heart to speak about different things that are happening in my life, and I know that is happening in other people's lives, and we just try to make the best sense of it. And I've done a video on it before, speaking about death and things, but I feel like it's something that I need to speak on again, just for my own bit of sanity, maybe, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, my skin's looking extra popping because it's all about the lighting, and the sun naturally gives us that pop if you position yourself right. So I could be over here and it looks really like, you know what I mean, I'm in the shade, you know what I mean, but I can come here. So yeah, this is what the sun is offering me today, and I give thanks for that. So yeah, I wanted to speak about death because it's like it's knocking, and it like every minute, like I want to breathe and it just doesn't even allow me to breathe. And I guess tied in with that is then grief. Do you know what I mean? Because when someone goes, you then grieve, but then you only grieve because you loved that person. Do you know what I mean? Because many people pass and it doesn't really hit you because you had no connection to them. You know, whether they're famous people, whatever, there's nothing that really makes your heart go, oh. So this year, a few people have passed, like, that I know of, but 2 people have passed that I would say that, I would consider friends, and then definitely one of them is my homie, man. You know what I mean? And it just makes me think, you know what is the message to us as the living? Do you know what I mean? What do we need to understand from death? Because death comes to take, ultimately. You know what I mean? That's what it's there designed to do, take. It doesn't come to give you anything, but it must come to give you something. And I think it comes to give the living something, some words of wisdom, an insight to your life and how you're living, how you're dealing with yourself and people. Do you know what I mean? And to remind us that this is just a moment and our days are actually numbered. Do you know what I mean? And it sounds a bit like, when someone says your days are numbered, it can sound a bit like, yo, there's a price on your head type of thing. But not that. It's a thing to say, like, we live as though we've got all eternity to be here, to experience life. We take for granted a lot the people, the places and the things that we have in our life. But let's take a moment to be still and really appreciate what we experience. And you know what? There's going to be people that you've lost contact with, but you think about them all the time, or the memories that you had with them were proper, like, bliss and beautiful. It's nothing to find a way to reconnect with that person. Do you know what I mean? It costs you nothing to do that. Do you know what I mean? And I think for myself, with the recent passing of my friend, it made me think, I had good relationships with them back in the day. We was always around each other, always having something to do, reasoning, deep conversations, and all of these things. And now only in the time of his passing has it brought everybody back together. And I understand life happens, but I'm not going to just accept that. I'm not going to just accept that life just happens, because for the most part of the time, people spend at least 3 to 4 hours on social media daily. Do you know what I mean? So what happened to the days when we called somebody, or we had to knock on someone's door, or whatever it is, to connect with people? What happened to being social creatures and actually making time to be in and around people? So there's no excusing about, oh, life happens and people just out here living life, because you make time for the people, places and things that you want to make time for. I understand that people's lives go in different directions, but that doesn't mean to say the connection cannot remain, that you cannot still water the connection that you have with somebody. And whether that's a text, a phone call, a monthly meetup, or whatever it may be, or you invite them to your celebrations or a meal, or, you know, find ways to really reignite and keep alive what matters. Because now, in the absence of that person, we all feel sorrow, we're all sad. All the things that we want to say to them, we cannot say to them because they're no longer here in flesh, in the physical. So I won't be warmed with that response when people say, oh, you know, life happens and people are just living life. No, because people sometimes aren't just living life, and that's the very thing. They're not just living life. We're not just living life. Sometimes we're sitting down mindlessly just being in life on autopilot. And when we was younger, you know, when the weekend came, the weekend was something. It was something to look forward to. After your 5 days in school, the weekend was something to be grateful for. Because it meant that you get to go to that party, or you get to go to the cinema, you get to connect with your friends that you don't go to school with, or the friends you do go to school with, you get to do something outside of school. It meant you get to connect. Do you know what I mean? When the weekend came. So when we're in our homes or our lifestyles, giving our energy, our time, and a non-renewable currency that we will not get back, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we're doing? What is it that we're doing? Because it doesn't make sense to say that, oh, life just happens. I know we go through things, but how do we know that the very things that we're going through, those people that mattered, could be the people that could help you go through things in a better way? We make up excuses and ideologies for things that don't really make sense to make it make sense so we can feel comfortable. But it's not about feeling comfortable. We have to get uncomfortable. We have to get uncomfortable with the truth that life is just a moment. It doesn't last forever. And I think I've experienced too much oh, my eyes twitching. I've experienced too much close deaths this year. Yeah, for me to just rest on that laurel that life just happens and things just happen. No, because you can design your life how you want it to be. You can design the connections that you want to have with people. And yes, it is about reciprocity. People have to give that energy back. But at least you know you've put it out there. You know what I mean? You've put feelers out there to test the waters, to create those connections with people. Do you know what I mean? If they matter to you in your heart space. Because the loss of my friend showed me, you know, I've always told them really how I felt about them. But the loss of them, it really pulls on my heart. Do you know what I mean? It really pulls on my heart. And I think maybe I could have made more time to have those conversations, or, you know, when my mind did run on them, make connections with them. I'm not living in regret. It's just an eye opener. It gives you perspective that we cannot continue to live in, oh man, you know what I mean? Oh man, you know, it has to be like, yo, that person knows how much I love them. You know what I mean? And you can celebrate their life, truly celebrate it. You're sad for them going, but you can celebrate the fact that they lived and you got to experience life with them. Do you know what I mean? That's a privilege. It's a blessing, because not everybody knows the people that pass. The world don't know them. Do you know what I mean? So for you to know them, isn't that something to be really celebrated? Isn't that something that's a privilege? Isn't that something that's loving and just absolutely amazing? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing that makes me just put things into perspective. So yes, this is a message about death. Yeah, but it's also that, you know what? We grieve because we have loved. Death hurts because the people matter. But I genuinely feel we have to have a better understanding, understanding of what death comes to teach us. Because it's not like it's not the movies. Not somebody can die and you just tap them on the head and they wake back up. You know what I mean? It's not no zombie business. When the person's gone, they go into a different dimension, a different frequency, a different realm. That in our density as human beings, not all of us are gifted that gift to be able to astral projecting or going to, not all of us have that elevation and that awareness that we can tap into other realms and see other people and connect to other people. So people then really hold on to the memories that they have of that person, and it weighs them down. They grieve. It's hard. Loss is hard. You know what I mean? To know that you will never see that person again. Like you will never see them again. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because when we go, we don't know what's going to happen. So you hope to see them. But what you know now is that you're never going to see them again physically. You're never going to go sit down in a restaurant with them again, or go cinema, or chat on the phone, or text one another. That is not going to happen again in this time. So when you go, it's like, well, will we even remember each other? We don't know these things, you know what I mean? So what we know now is that we can do the most we can with what we have. To tell people that you love them and you care for them, to give people their flowers, to hold space with people, and to genuinely be present. So that if that unexpected, unfortunate thing happens, you will find comfort and peace to know that you really was present in that person's life. So the absence of them will hurt, but the fact that you was present will even feel greater than the absence, because we're all gonna go. That is a given. So now we know this as a fact, yeah, right? That's one thing we know for sure. We don't even know if everybody lives, really, because some people are just here on autopilot. But for a fact, we know that people are gonna go. So if we know that that is destined for all of us, we have the advantage. There's an advantage there. That we have the power to create and design a life that is meaningful, that is, you can connect with people, and it has a lasting effect. So people will know for years to come that you was here, that that relationship existed, that that friendship existed. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's something that pulls something right to the forefront of your mind, to the presence of your mind, to let you understand that I was here. This relationship existed. It exists now. Do you understand what I'm saying? The relationship that you have with people exists now. Stop wasting time on people that don't serve you no good. Because in your heart space, your spirit doesn't even want them anyway. Doesn't want to be around them anyway. And this is people, places, and things. You see, people are so in their arrogancy, or whoever they are, or thinking that they're this and this, and that makes you and that person misalign. Remove yourself from it. Just let it go, and just wish that it could be better. But truly, just let it go, because what you do, you're holding up space to not have you're holding up space to then have relationships with people that will better serve you, and you better serve them. Do you know what I mean? My grandma said to me, she phoned me, I didn't get back to her, but I went to go and see her. And she says to me, how come you haven't come and see me? Lord, God, me have to think what me do you, and all these things. And you know what was happening? Life was happening. Life was happening. It was also, I've created this barrier where I just don't want to go around in that space for my own reasons. But if the worst case scenario happens, whether I go or my grandma goes, we're going to miss each other. There's going to be a big void there. So whilst the time is still here, whilst we have that gift of time, why not cherish it? So when I did go and sit with my grandma, we watched cartoons. We watched Shrek and Kung Fu Panda. And I fell asleep on her bed. As she lay there, I fell asleep. Just like old times. And you know what? When I left there, my heart felt so warm. It felt like it was something was missing. And that was the connection with my grandma. That is what was missing. Those little moments that we have, you know, when I will be at my grandma's or be around my grandma and just be around and be talking, and maybe I might fall asleep or whatever it is, or we chat and we'll have food. But the absence of it and not being around it made me just think like, oh, I didn't miss it. Oh, just whatever. But as soon as I went back into that vibration of what that connection was, my heart, I literally felt the love in my heart. Literally felt the love in my heart. And if she wasn't here, right? If she wasn't here, I wouldn't have had that moment to even have in my memory now. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is a thing that is a constant reminder to myself, is create the memories, nourish the bonds. We are human beings, right? It is in our nature to be connected and social with one another. It is not in our nature to be artificial intelligence or act like it. It is in our nature to connect with people, to love people. So we have to do more of that. We genuinely have to do more of that. You know? And it seems like I'm trying to preach to convert people, but it's not. I'm just sharing my insight of what I'm personally experiencing, and what I feel like, you know, because the death hasn't just affected me, it's affected a load of people, like a whole community of people. So it leads me to say, what can we do to nourish the connections that we have, to sustain them and maintain them and pour love into them, so we're not then on the other side of the absence of the person thinking, man, gosh, we should have linked up, this, that. No, because we had so much time. See, there again, the time. We had so much time to make those connections. But what we believe is that time is just, we don't get a notice. Death is not like the bailiffs, you know. You get a notice, then another notice. It just happens, just like that. Just like that. And I'm telling you, the moment the spirit, the breath leaves the body, that's it. It's game, it's done. Game over. The game is over. They're no longer playing. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're no longer playing. So whilst we're all in this game and we're playing and we've got our remote control, design a game which you want to be a part of and you want people to participate in and play in. Because soon as it says game over, you can't just click and say start again. Not in this dimension. Not in this realm. And if you're going to try all the sorcery and whatever it is to try and have people back around, it would never be what it's supposed to be, because that's misaligned. But in the physical and the human form, this is all we know for now. And this is all we have now. So when you know within yourself you've got the time right now in this moment, what are you going to do with it? I chose to make this video because it was on my heart. I said I need to speak. And what I've chosen to do is create a form of information that will outlive me. So when somebody else may come across this now or years to come, or how many years to come, they will know in 2022 this is something that someone was experiencing. And if I'm experiencing it, it's a community experience, because we're all one consciousness. So we have to learn to do better. We've got to be better, you know. It may be hard in life. You want to go for your goals and you want to do this and you want to do that, and we want to just do so much. But you know what? Goals don't die. Goals don't die, because they only exist in the mind anyway. So they don't die. They can never die. Clothes don't die. May go out of season, may go out of fashion, but they don't die. Food, well, food does die. It goes off in it. But food is replenishable. You can get it again. We see people, especially people you care about, they do die. And there's not many of them. So there's not many pairs of genes. There's not many pairs of grandmas. Like, I have one grandma who's Miss Wigan. There's not going to be many Miss Wigans who then I see as a grandma. Do you get what I'm saying? So cherish the moment. They're a one of a kind. They're authentic. People are authentic. that energy, that essence of that particular person, you will only find in that particular person. You will find spin-offs of them. You know, if they've had children, if they've got cousins, brothers, sisters, and all these things. But really and truly, there's only one of them, one of one. So if you have that connection to that person, honor it, cherish it, tell the person you love them. Because if you love them, you tell them. Don't tell them after, you know, and we're pouring up libations and all these things and sending one up to the sky. They need to know that now, because when they do transition, they'll be like, yo, that one was a real one. They love me. They love me in the physical, and now they love me in the spiritual. It's just love regardless. Not love because they're gone. And when they were here, you couldn't hear them, see them, feel them. You was never about. Do you get what I mean? We have to honor our spirit, our essence, in this lifetime and the next. And don't just think when people die that they just turn into your ancestors and all those things, because energy never dies. It never dies. It just transforms. So you can't hail up people in next realms if you never had them like that here. You know what I mean? We're born with a cluster of people. We're born with a cluster of people, whether that's spirit guides, ancestors, all these people that are here to guide us. But you see the people we meet along the way, if you don't create those connections and bonds with them, when they transition, why are you calling upon them? You didn't have them in high regard when they were here. Do you understand what I'm saying? You wasn't doing right by them when they were here. So don't waste your time. Because you wasn't wasting your time when they were here. You know what I'm saying? So don't waste your time now that they've gone. Be true to yourself. And the truth is this also. If you had time for them when they were here, you will have time for them in the next realms and dimensions. If you loved them when they were here, you will love them in the next realms and dimension. Because your love exceeded time. It is eternal. Always was. It was unconditional. So you love them now, and you love them when they're gone. You love them in sickness, in health, in all of it, because it was never based on conditions. It was never based on them serving you or you serving them. It was based on love, on the naturalness of love. Anyway, I've spoken for a lot, but just make time. Make time for the people that matter to you. Because once they transform out of the matter of who they are, you're going to really see what mattered. And by then, you will not have the time. And look how that sounds. I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time when you have the time. But as soon as that person who matters is no longer matter, you actually won't have the time. Peace. Have a great day. Stay blissful. God, sun, the way you make me glisten, more praise to ya. Jeez, because the reality is, it's all about the shading. You know, I wanna show you. Oh, it's still giving sun. It's still giving sun. You see what I mean? Oh, there's my phone. So if I recorded it this way, you're just getting like a casted view of me. You're not getting like the light. But then as soon as you go like this, come on. Take care. Stay well.